Imagine walking through the icy Alps and stumbling upon a perfectly preserved body from over 5,000 years ago. But this isn't just any ancient corpse. This man met a violent, brutal end. His murder remained a mystery for millennia, until science began to speak for the dead. This is the true story of Ötzi the Iceman, and how modern science uncovered the most brutal death ever discovered by archaeologists. It all began in 1991, high in the Ötztal Alps on the border between Austria and Italy. Two hikers made a shocking discovery, a human body partially frozen in the ice. At first, they thought it was a modern-day accident victim, but soon, experts realized this body was ancient. Carbon dating revealed something astonishing. This man lived around 3,300 BCE. Over 5,000 years ago, they named him Ötzi, after the mountains where he was found. But what shocked scientists wasn't just how well preserved his body was, it was the way he died. At first glance, it seemed like he might have frozen to death. But when CT scans were performed years later, researchers found an arrowhead buried deep in his shoulder, suggesting he had been shot in the back as he tried to flee. Blood analysis and DNA evidence showed multiple wounds, including defensive cuts on his hands, a blow to the head, and internal bleeding that suggested he bled out, possibly from the arrow or a head injury. Ötzi, alone or perhaps betrayed by companions, wounded and running. He may have been ambushed while trying to escape. His hand was gashed, possibly from fighting back with his copper axe. Then the fatal shot, an arrow to the back that pierced a vital artery near his shoulder. He fell, but the attacker wasn't finished. Evidence suggests Ötzi may have been struck on the head with a blunt object, a final blow to ensure death. The motives remain unknown. Was it robbery, revenge, or maybe a tribal conflict? Curiously, Ötzi still had valuable possessions on him, including a finely crafted copper axe, tools, and clothing. If it was a robbery, why weren't these taken? Some scientists believe he was a high-ranking figure, possibly a leader, and that his murder might have been politically motivated. An ancient assassination lost to time. Ötzi's body has revealed a treasure trove of information. He had tattoos, possibly for medicinal or ritual purposes. He suffered from arthritis and intestinal parasites. His last meal included ibex meat and einkorn wheat bread. His clothing was made from several animal hides, showing advanced tailoring for his time. Even his DNA revealed genetic markers linked to modern-day populations in the Mediterranean. Ötzi's story didn't end in the ice. In many ways, it only began there. His body is now housed at the South Tyrol Museum of Archaeology in Bolzano, Italy. Every year, thousands visit just to get a glimpse of this ancient man frozen in time. But for scientists, he continues to be a living lab. New techniques in genetics, forensics, and radiology are still uncovering secrets. Decades after his discovery, researchers have even reconstructed his face, revealing a weathered, rugged man with deep eyes and a solemn expression, perhaps haunted by the hard life he lived. And here's something chilling. Traces of blood from at least 4 different people were found on his belongings. This suggests Ötzi may have been involved in a violent encounter with multiple attackers. Or perhaps he fought and injured others before escaping into the mountains. This wasn't just a random death. It was a climactic end to what may have been a life of tribal warfare, power struggles, or betrayal. In Ötzi's death, we see a reflection of ourselves. The fear, the flight, the fight for survival. They're timeless. His wounds tell the story of humanity's earliest conflicts. His tools show our endless drive for innovation. And his final steps reveal that even in ancient times, violence and loss were part of life. His body may be 5,000 years old, but the questions he leaves us with are painfully modern. Why do we kill? What drives us to destroy one another? And what can the dead teach us about how to live? As we reach the end of this chilling, yet fascinating journey into the life and death of Ötzi the Iceman, we're left with far more than just an ancient murder mystery. His frozen remains are not just bones trapped in time. They're a 5,300-year-old window into a world we barely understand. From the moment he was discovered by accident in the Alps, Ötzi began to unravel the fabric of history, challenging everything we thought we knew about early human life, survival, and society. What makes Ötzi's story so haunting isn't just the brutal way he died, a sudden, calculated arrow to the back, perhaps from someone he trusted. It's the eerie silence that followed. He lay there face down on the ice, as the snow buried his body, preserving it in a time capsule that would wait millennia to be found. His death wasn't just an act of violence, it was the beginning of a scientific revelation that continues to unfold. Scientists have uncovered his last meals, the diseases he suffered, the weapons he carried, and even the DNA of his living descendants. but perhaps most striking is how much his death teaches us about early human emotions: fear, betrayal, survival, and the complexity of social bonds. Ötzi was no myth or legend, he was real. He felt pain and he fought for his life. His story forces us to confront the harsh realities of prehistoric life, reminding us that even in ancient times, humans were caught in cycles of conflict, power and desperation, and yet, there's a quiet nobility to Ötzi's legacy. His body, once frozen in isolation, now connects millions of people across the globe. Museums showcase his remains. Documentaries tell his story. Scientists, artists, and thinkers are inspired by what he represents: a bridge between our modern world and the raw, untamed human experience of the past. So, as we walk away from this story, we're reminded that history isn't always buried in books. It's sometimes hidden in the ice, waiting for the right moment to speak. And when it does, it doesn't whisper, it screams. What does this mean for us? It collapses the idea of history as something distant. You might be more connected to the ancient world than you think. Our DNA is a living record of our past, and Ötzi's preserved body has become a Rosetta Stone for studying genetic evolution. His discovery helped scientists map ancient migration patterns and gave us insight into how populations moved, adapted, and mixed over thousands of years. This tells us a lot about modern disease, population health, and even ancestry testing. That 23andMe kit or ancestry DNA test you might have taken. The technology behind that was shaped by cases like Ötzi's. And here's the kicker: you may be walking around with genes that survived ice ages, plagues, wars, and the very same ancient world Ötzi came from. That's humbling. Ötzi was only discovered because of melting glaciers in the Alps in 1991. That alone is a massive red flag. As global temperatures rise, ice that's been frozen for millennia is thawing and revealing what it's kept hidden. Ötzi was one of the first major finds, but not the last. Since then, dozens of bodies, weapons, clothing, and tools have surfaced. So, what's the impact today? His discovery was a scientific breakthrough, but it also sounded an alarm. It showed us, quite literally, how the planet is changing. Things that were meant to stay buried are emerging. Climate change isn't just about hotter summers or rising seas. It's rewriting human history before our eyes. And if we're not careful, the next thing uncovered by melting ice might not be a clue from the past, but a warning for the future. Beyond the science, beyond the genetics and the tools and the wounds, there's something deeply human about Ötzi's story. He was a man on the move, possibly fleeing, possibly hunting, maybe betrayed, maybe defending what was his. His final moments were filled with desperation, struggle, and pain, and yet, over 5,000 years later, we still talk about him, study him, wonder who he really was. That says something about us. It shows how deeply we seek connection, even with someone who lived and died in a world completely alien to ours. It shows that we value stories, legacy, and the eternal question of why are we here. Ötzi may be gone, but in a strange way, he's more alive now than he's ever been, teaching us, warning us, and reminding us that our actions today echo across time. So, how does one man's brutal death in the icy Alps affect us today? It teaches us about ancient medicine, about the roots of violence and survival, about food, genetics, environment, and human resilience. It reveals how fragile life is, and how powerful our stories can be when they're preserved by time. Ötzi the Iceman may have died alone on a frozen mountain, but in his death, he opened a window into our own lives, who we are, what we've inherited, and what we might become, thanks to science and a little luck. His voice now speaks across 5 millennia, and if we're wise, we'll listen. If this story gave you chills, literal or metaphorical, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. What ancient mystery do you want us to explore next? This is Forgotten Earth TV, where the past never dies. It just waits to be discovered. See you in the next one.